Right, let's go to Bewcastle, which is just in Cumbria, in the north of the county, where a beautiful festival called Forgotten Lands takes place, and it's been going for a few years. In a former life, I used to help organise a music festival called Music on the Mar in Castle Carrick, which is near Brampton, and we did that for 10 years. Then the pandemic kind of put a kibosh on that. Forgotten Lands has been going for probably not quite as long as 10 years, but it's been going for a few years. And Rose Ellen runs it, and it's probably going to four. There we go, 4 years. It almost kills you to run a music festival, believe you me. So hats off to Rose Ellen for getting Forgotten Lands up and running. It's taking place at the end of May, and she's going to tell us all about it and what the plan is for this year and why you should go. So Rose Ellen, Amy, your erstwhile friend, probably not erstwhile, you're probably still friends, is going to pull the
Yes,
sign
very
for
much
you.
so.
There you go.
Very much so.
And the floor is yours for sort of 15 minutes or so to tell us about Forgotten Lands.
Right, thank you everybody for sitting through this. So the first slide that Amy's going to show you is our adorable dogs. This is Barney and Meg. Meg's my dog. Some of you just met her. We are a dogs kind of festival, so if you want to see cute dogs, we are the place to go. And our beautiful artwork there, drawn by a Cumbrian as well. That'll be a theme throughout. So next slide, please, Amy. This is our artwork for the year. If you see it, please do share it. This is our flyer. So this year, we're very lucky to have Mark Chadwick headlining, who is from the Levellers. And Maddie Pryor and Forgotten Lands is actually just the kind of house band, if you like. We're there's four of us, and we've really just started. We've just started the band, and we've done a few gigs. We played Sidmouth and Shrewsbury and a couple of other fun festivals, but we are the house band. So we play the festival anthem and generally do all the stuff that needs to be done. We've also got Hadrian's Union doing their album launch, which is going to be very fun on the Friday night. And Warehouse of Thieves, who are a Brampton-based band who used to be called the League of Extraordinary Ukulele Gentlemen. And I'm really glad they're not called that anymore because it's hard to say. So if you see it, please share it. Next slide, please, Amy. We exist for a lot of different reasons, and essentially our idea was to bring the festival home, because it used to be Stepping Stones Festival, which was in Kirklinton, which yes, still is in Cumbria, but is far away from Bewcastle, and our passion was kind of the parish of Bewcastle. So there are so many things to recommend it as a little parish, and so few people travel out to see it. I'll come to that in a minute. So we finished that in 2017, and we didn't want to stop celebrating. You know, there's a very human need to have ceremony, and we sort of thought, well, we'll have a party in 2018. And so we had a party, we put up a gala tent, we had a few bands, and then we didn't want to stop doing that. And I said, well, I'll carry on being the mad person who is the coordinator. Tom has already reassured me that I am completely mad for doing this. And yes, I already know. And we didn't want to stop. So I said, if I can rebrand it and make it more about the location and try and get a few bubbles of people together and involve the locals in kind of making a space for the arts, then I will carry on doing it. So I took over, and we changed the name, and we changed the location, and we changed the way we funded it. And that was crucial because it was not self-sustaining before, and now it is. So, but it takes many hands. So that's the that's the difficult bit, is it takes many hands. But I wanted to see, I think we were all curious to set up a project whereby it was like an A/B test, retest, where we wanted to know if it was going to self-sustain or whether we would need funding. So next slide, please, Amy. This is where it is. We are equidistant between Brampton and Longtown and Newcastleton over the border and Gilsland, where Bird Oswald is. Let me know afterwards if you're not familiar with any of these places, and I can tell you some lovely places to go. And the festival is held at Stone's Barn, which is a business that me and my mum run. We started in 2001, which is unbelievable to me now that we've been going over 20 years. And we run, next slide, please, Amy. We run weekend courses. So largely in singing and poetry and music performance. There's songwriting this year, there's storytelling. Taffy Thomas is going to come and do a whole weekend with Mossy Christian. John Patterson's doing the poetry, Rick Kemp is doing the songwriting, and there's Kareem Polwart's coming back to do another course. She's a very famous Scottish singer, so you all know her. And then we've had lots of amazing guests in the past. We've had John Bowden and John Spires, Lady Masery. We've got Martin Carthy coming again to do a course this year with Maddie called Exploring Traditional Song. So this is why we kind of wanted to bring it home. It's partly for our people to kind of have a yearly get together. Yeah, and that's what it looks like. That's us sitting around eating cake and then singing and having fun. Next slide, please, Amy. So this is Bewcastle itself. Within about 500 yards, you've got a museum which will tell you everything about border history you've ever wanted to know. We've got the ruin of an amazing and very important Roman fort. We've got a Celtic cross without its head on because it was knocked off back in the day. You all know all this, right? But it's still an extraordinary place to see, and you can see it all in one morning. And the views are beautiful. It's a wonderful place. And we're just a mile or so down the road from all of these wonderful things. Thank you. Next slide, please. So especially if you're a cyclist, it's a great place to go for a day. The mission of the festival, and I'm sure this is the mission for most of you in your endeavors, is not just kind of to think about heritage in a historical way, but to think about, you know, keeping what we've got now. And Bewcastle as a place is, you know, Cumbria as a place is not a well-known place. When I lived in Bristol, I'd say, where are you from? I'd say Cumbria, and they'd say, well, you don't sound Welsh at all. So that's Cumbraen, as you know. So they don't know where the county of Cumbria is, which is very frustrating. You say, oh, it's where the Lake District is, and they'll say, oh, I went through it once, or I went there for a day, or I went to Carlisle because I was on the way to Scotland. You've heard these stories a million times. So yeah, it's a place that needs to be shouted about. And the language and the people, you know, if we don't use the language and we don't use the dialect, it will go. So I try and put as much of that in social media as I can. And it's part of the festival. We try and get as many. So this is, you can see in the yellow there, that's Lal Tetherer. They're a Cumbrian band, and they're ever so young. And I think one of their first gigs together was at last year's festival. And Taffy Thomas there in his tailcoat. He may have been one of our oldest performers, although there was a few. So very important to have people bringing the Cumbrian stuff. And the next slide, please, Amy. Ceremony and celebration, it's just such a human need. So that the building of the village for the music and the arts is what excites us, you know, just to build something from scratch. So that's what we do. If all the infrastructure was there, I don't know, somehow it wouldn't be quite so fun. It's the hardship and the kind of the hard work that keeps us kind of excited about it. Wonderful. Thank you, Amy. Next one. The music, I mean, it's no surprise, it's what me and Maddie do. That's what we're passionate about. We're passionate about keeping the music quality up, and somehow we're able to punch well above our weight, mainly because Maddie kind of will persuade people to come all the way to Bewcastle to play a one-off gig, and it's extraordinary that they still do. So yeah, it's very important. And Sue Allen comes to do a talk for us. And there's going to be a different talk this year, which I'm very excited about, and hopefully I'll be able to go to it this year. Thank you, Amy. Next one. So when I said we changed the way we ran the festival, the main change we made was that we started to cook everything and sell everything ourselves. And because of the extraordinary amount of skill and qualification in our team, we are able to have just people who have food certificates in the kitchen. We've got the food prep kitchen anyway because of Stone's Barn. We make all our own food as well. So that's the reason we were able to, because we're not giving all our money to food vendors. We're not giving all our money to people who bring bars. We are actually able to pay for the festival. Even if we've only got a few ticket sales. So that's been absolutely key, and it's incredibly hard work. And again, it takes many hands, but it's the way we're able to make it work. Because we don't have any funding or underwriters or rich people. That would be nice. If any of you are rich, do feel free to get in touch. So it's very much based on it being self-sustaining. That was very important to us. We wanted to know if that was going to be a thing, and it has been a thing so far for 4 years. So lovely. Next one, please. We are not a cliquey group. We are ever evolving, and we need new skills all the time, because if you're an engineer in your 70s, you're not going to want to do a festival for the next 10 years. So there are people who are quite keen to pass on their jobs now, their roles within the group. So yeah, we're looking for young blood, people who are really interested to do that hard work and make the space for art. So yeah, join us if you like. We'd be very happy to have you. And if you want to help us share and spread the word, that also is incredibly helpful. Or if you just want to come down and sit on a bale of straw and drink a pint, then you'd also be very welcome to do that. That also helps. Next slide, please. Thank you all very much for listening. That's me and my son covered in sparkly jewels last year. Thank you.
Well, lots of rounds of applause for you there.
Oh, thanks very much.
Yeah, no, not at all. Thank you very much, Rosellen. And the sun always shines in Bewcastle. Is that right? Looks like it does.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's no rain here.
Excellent. And what sort of size is it? I mean, how many people kind of come on a good, if it's a good festival, what's your numbers like?
So we have about 150 ticket sales.
Yeah.
Which is unbelievably small. I think Forgotten Lands is much smaller than Stepping Stones, which was about 250. They could guarantee about 250 every year, but for the size of the festival, that wasn't going to sustain. So yeah, it's because just about everybody who comes to it, and there's about 300 people, 350 on site, because everybody's there just being involved. So actually the ticket buyers are very few, but the people who are doing it and that's how you get the benefits of being part of something. You get all the well-being benefits and the kind of social glue elements of these ceremonies is when you're involved. So we're really pleased that most of the people on site are actually physically involved, and that's how events kind of were in the olden days. So yeah, that's an amazing thing for us. But if we could sell another 100 tickets, that'd be really nice, because then we could get some bigger acts and we could get some bigger tents, and
Yeah, sure. Well, obviously, Phil had a good time last year. Met lots of interesting people, and he's saying what a great job you do, Roselle, and creating a welcoming and relaxed atmosphere. Lots of wonderful musical musicians. Again, harking back to Music on the Mile, I think one of the things people enjoyed about it was the intimacy of it. It's such a
exactly.
I think Forgotten Lands is exactly the same. It's all
it was so partly built out of the Bewcastle Agricultural Festival, and obviously it's far too difficult to involve animals in festivals now. They've got laws to prevent all that.
Yeah.
So that gets very tricky. But yeah, the whole point of one of these gatherings, I suppose, is to be involved and for it to be small and intimate enough for you to actually go there and be able to meet people. That's really important. I think if you're just going to go there and be faceless and get off your face, that's a different kind of event.
Yeah.
There are lots of festivals like that, and that's wonderful. But there's a place for those. But to really build connections with people, it has to be a small thing.
I'm going to ask you a question, but while I'm doing that, Amy, would you mind pulling up the first slide again, which has the flyer on it? Sue, what are you going to be doing at Forgotten Lands this year?
Well, last year I did my general thing called Echoes of Old Cumberland, which is about Cumbria's music, dance, and song, a whole lot. This year, Rose Ellen's asked me to focus in on a couple of the guys they talk about in that, which is similar to what I did on Tuesday, dialect poets, Robert Anderson, John Stagg, particularly though for this festival, it's not academic. So it's more to do with performance. I'll be singing some of Anderson's songs, playing, and I'll be reading loud bits of dialect and all.
Excellent. And Chris, I'm going to ask you, why do you like this flyer?
I love it. It's I'm into floating islands at the moment, but yeah, I just love the sort of the vibe of it, but also that the text is really clear. There's so many flyers, the details on the flyers I've got recently. My eyesight's not great at the moment, and I can read everything on here. It says it up the top, everything. Love it.
Well said, that man. Well said, that man. I like it as well. Shades of Roger Dean, remember him? What on earth is Richard Foster talking about there? Is he an artist, Richard?
Yes, he was an artist. He did all the covers for the Yes albums back in the
right.
70s and 80s. And he was the first one to do the floating islands, really. And there was a big litigation because he sued the guy who did Avatar because he said it was a straight copy, which it was, but he lost. It's the power of money. There you are.
Are you showing your love of prog rock there, Richard?
Yeah.
It's a few thumbs
I'm
up.
going to come out as a prog rock lover.
Great. All right. Well, thank you ever so much, Rose Ellen. Just remind us of the dates again when it's in May, isn't it?
It happens on the Friday and Saturday, so the bank holiday in May. So Friday the 24th and Saturday the 25th, and then we all pack up on the Sunday.
Okay. So if you're sort of camping or staying there, you'd probably say Friday night and Saturday night, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Great. Okay, lovely. All right. Well,
Thanks for having me.
No, not at all. I mean, you know, it's so great. I love it when we stretch into the far-flung bits of Cumbria that we don't often touch upon. You know, it's a really interesting part of Cumbria, that area as well. Rory Stewart wrote an interesting book about walking on there, but also some other bloke. What was his name? I interviewed him on stage at a book festival, who wrote a book about a couple of years ago about that whole sort of area. I can't remember what his name is now. Something Graham.
I mean, there's almost as many books as there are people and sheep, but we could do with a few more people.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sure you'll get them. I'm sure the sun will shine, and good luck with it. And you know, absolute full credit to you for organising these things. It's not easy to do. It's all about problem solving sometimes, and just to get the chance to actually enjoy it yourself is always a challenge. Thank you, Sue. Yeah, Graham Robb, that was the person who wrote an interesting book about that whole sort of, you know, it's the kind of borders have switched around, and you know, all the rebus, all that kind of thing, but also lots of sort of folklore things as well. So good stuff. Great part of the world, Rose Ellen. Good luck with it. Thank you very much indeed. Right, I'm going to switch to Kieran now, because Helen is joining us shortly, but she's not with us yet, and she's going to tell us about the marketing session. But Kieran, who obviously is in quite a cold room by the looks of things, are you in Maryport, Kieran? Is that right?
I am. It's really cold.
It's cold in Maryport. I don't know if anybody else is anywhere near Maryport, or whether Kieran's central heating just isn't working very well. But anyway, Kieran, it's nice to see you again, Kieran. And we've got your film ready to go whenever you want to cue it in. But Kieran is part of the management, the leadership of everyone here, which is the recently rebranded Arts Council People and Places, Creative People and Places project in West Cumbria, which has now been going for about a year, something like that. Can't remember. Kieran will fill us in. Tell us about where you're at, Kieran, and also about the Citizens Assembly, which is now being launched.
Thanks, Tom. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Oh, hooray. Hi, everybody. So I'm Kieran Sheehan. I'm the co-director of everyone here. And I think I've spoken to quite a lot of you before, but a lot of you I haven't met as well. Everyone here is a Creative People and Places programme, and we're funded to work by the Arts Council across the old Allerdale and Copeland areas. And Yeah, I think it's literally a year today that I started the job, and it had been running for a while before us as well, but we've essentially been taking time over the kind of past year to get to know the area and to think about what to do and to run some small projects that you can see on our website, which is everyonehere.org. And we thought it would be a good idea to kind of come and just say to everyone on this network that the Jury for Joy is launching. So the Jury for Joy is going to be the way that we ask communities across West Cumbria what it is that they would like us to do, basically. So we've used a process that Tom just mentioned called Citizens Assembly, although what we're doing is a citizens jury because it's a bit smaller. So we're inviting 9,000 people across Allerdale and Copeland to see if they would like to be part of something that we're calling a Jury for Joy. And there'll be 30 places, and those people will meet for the first time in the middle of May, so 18th and 19th of May. And they'll be facilitated by a group called Citizens in Power. And they will be asked to essentially give us our programme for the next year. So we've got a programme budget at the moment of at least £100,000 for the year. And they will spend the 2 days experiencing lots of different kinds of artistic interventions and then deliberating what it is that we should be doing over the next period of time. They'll also be asked to come up with a creative vision for Workington Lights. And that vision will be based on some previous work with people from Workington. So it's not all being done to the community in Workington. And we wanted to kind of come here and say to you that if you get an invite through your letterbox, please do sign up and be interested. Everybody who takes part will get £200 of shopping vouchers and food, and we'll pay for travel to get to the event. We're still deciding on exactly where it's going to be, but it will be somewhere that's fully accessible, and there will be lots of things kind of provided for the jury members as well to kind of really just take part in the best possible way that they're able to. So we just kind of wanted to come on board and say hello, and this is happening, and see if there's any questions that we can answer about that. Also to say that if you know someone that gets an invitation, please encourage them to sign up and to be considered to be part of the 30 people. So the way the group will be chosen, so hopefully there'll be more than 30 people that are interested, and the way that they will be chosen is to have the kind of biggest spread. Oh, the screen's gone. It'll be to have the biggest spread of kind of demographic and age and ethnicity, so that it's a kind of balanced group. What we're hoping in terms of the Jury for Joy is that we get people who don't normally make decisions on culture, thinking about creative programs and creative activities. And our hope is that it will last for a long time, and it will grow, and the programme budgets will grow, and we'll fundraise for it, so that actually it can become something that's really celebrated and joyful, hopefully, for people to be in charge of some cultural programming in the place where they live. Any questions?
Sounds ambitious. Sounds ambitious. And there's a little film that we can share. Do you want to share that now, or do you want to take questions first of all?
I have questions.
Yeah, sure. Anybody got any reflections, questions, thoughts for Kieran as they embark on this ambitious project?
I have one.
Christine.
Can I go ahead? Hi. Hi, Kieran. I'm round the corner from you in Maryport. Hiya. When you said that the jury would get to see or experience various sort of artistic interventions from which to make their choices, could you give me like an example of what you imagine that would be?
Yeah, so that's been kind of part of the work that we've been doing over the last 6 months. So we've been thinking kind of really carefully about what the evidence is that we present. So at Citizens Assembly, it's kind of traditionally called evidence. The assemblies are presented with evidence. So what we're presenting are projects that kind of represent and connect to communities that might not normally have spent a lot of time in spaces where they're talking about culture. So the first project will be our Sensory World project that we're developing with Natalie Sharp, and that's an engagement project that's going to be happening at Lakes College, and it's a sensory installation that's really focused on learning disabled and neurodiverse communities. They'll be coming to that before the assembly, and with Prism we're gathering quite a lot of data about what's on offer for those communities in terms of culture and also what people are interested in. So that'll be one of the evidences, that one of the things that's installed for people to experience. It's essentially a kind of lots of different zones, sensory interaction and performance. The other one will be a collaboration with West Coast Makers, which is working with kind of 14 to 21-year-olds on a weekly basis to think about creativity, queerness and expression and a kind of vision for culture across the two areas. And then we'll also be working with some light and sort of poetry and sound artists to provoke different possibilities for the Working to Lights installation, as well as some artists who are part of the kind of the journey already in terms of thinking about what's going to happen for that event, and they would have done some work with the working community. Then the final element that Zoe Forster, who's here somewhere, our community producer.
Hi, I'm here, yes. Hi, Kieran.
We'll be doing is working with some local groups and getting some presentations ready, or some installations, or whatever it is that they want to connect to.
So essentially, it's sort of, is it a way to give people who haven't necessarily experienced the various things a language with which to make decisions and see what they might want?
Yeah, definitely. It's an introduction to that. Definitely, it's like a language, and it's also, I think we'll learn so much from this first event, and what we hope is that actually the jury members will start to be in charge of that. It's just a kind of difficult one, the first one, because there has to be some influence, and so we thought at least let's structure it so that the artistic work that's coming into that first assembly is from people that would normally be marginalised from that kind of event.
Thanks, Christine.
Thank you.
Kieran, is this a model that's been used elsewhere, or was this kind of, groundbreaking stuff you're doing?
There's been, so Citizens Assembly is really tried and tested, and Labour Party are taking it on, it seems, possibly. But there have been some really brilliant cultural focused citizens assemblies. I think what's not happened so much before is the use of creativity and culture in terms of evidence and in terms of a thinking and deliberation process. And I think there hasn't a focus on the jury members tangibly being in control of the programme. So that's a kind of, hopefully, a bit of a first.
Okay.
Any
more questions? Ursula?
Yes, one more quickly. Hi, I'm in Maryport as well. Yes, when I saw the somewhere, I think I read about it, and your concept reminded me of the there used to be a few people's assemblies on climate change. Is the concept kind of taken from that one as well? So climate and then transfer to culture.
Yeah, exactly. Lifting on that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ursula.
Great.
So there's a model that's been taken place there. Jo?
Hiya. Yeah, I just it was this particular thing that drew my attention this morning, which is why I kind of hopped on the call, really. But I'd love to hook up with you, Kieran, because in my capacity with this new CIC in Kendal, we're working closely with Kendal Town Council, to create this sustainability hub, which was one of the recommendations from the climate jury in Kendal, to have a one-stop shop for sort of climate action. And one of the things we want to do as a CIC is kind of reinvigorate the jury. So either with the previous members or just kind of widen that out to get more citizens of Kendal involved, but just encouraging them into environmental action. But because we've got a venue and a space, essentially an old church, which is a fantastic performance space or art space, we think we can do that creative, different creative ways. So I'm really, really excited about what you're doing, because I think we can probably copy bits of what you're doing or be inspired by bits of what you're doing. But I'd love to hook up with you and maybe talk more after this session.
Sounds great, Joe. Yeah, definitely.
It's really exciting. Thank you,
Joe, and it's nice to have you here, listening in and joining the conversation as well.
Yeah, apologies for I felt very rude at the beginning. I was actually in the middle of making my breakfast, and it's like, oh, suddenly there's people. So yeah, but it's great to be here.
No, that's a regular occurrence on this call, Joe. Don't worry about that. On a Friday morning, people are allowed to make breakfast. That's absolutely fine at 9:30.
Thank you.
That's quite all right. Any other questions or thoughts for Kieran? I'm just flicking through the windows because we've got 2 or 3 windows now. No, okay. Well, shall we? I know that you commissioned Emma, whose surname has escaped me, to write Emma Gordon. McGordon, that's right. To write a piece, and shall we sit back and enjoy that now? Is now a good time to play that?
Yeah. So this is something Sam, the other director, worked with Emma on, and it's to help us launch the whole organisation, everyone here. So yeah, I hope that you enjoy it.
Everyone here. Nothing is separate. Everyone here is holding everyone here. From the other side of the mountain, beaches where the waves break, sand keeps time and score. Those in garages making music, those in spare rooms painting, those thinking, those feeling, being, doing, making, everyone here. Those who never thought they had it in them, those who just kept going to a silent anthem, setbacks, drawbacks, flashbacks. Those who sat for hours, wanted and waited, and those who walked the fells. Those with jobs and kids and bills, those who know physics and fusion and fission, those whose aim for the stars was a long shot, and those who watched the moon with precision. Everyone here. Let everyone here, everyone here. Lift higher, know worth. Be still. Count how many heartbeats pulse to the precision of a pinpoint. Join dots and see that the bigger picture is something you have always been part of. Everyone here is everyone here.
Love that. Really clever, words and images, and it all hangs together beautifully. I think that's a brilliant film, a brilliant promotional film. Kieran, thank you for sharing that with us. Good luck, because there'll be bumps in the road, won't there? And this stuff is a slow burn sometimes. With people demanding results sometimes a bit too quickly. But good luck, and it's great that you got a bit of budget to throw at it as well and make it work and make it accessible and make it open to all. So thank you very much for sharing that. And as someone was saying about Emma McGordon there, she's wonderful. Yeah, she's completely captivating. And Emma's performing in Maryport next weekend at Redby Coffee House, says Christine. Thanks, Kieran. Great to see you again.
Having me.
Great stuff. All right, the Maryport posse is big this morning, but we'll go back to Maryport shortly to hear from Ursula and watch her little film about a statue in Maryport for International Women's Day. But before we do that, we're going to cross to Helen Palmer, who is probably new to everybody on this call. I don't know. But Helen, you're very welcome here. Where are you this morning? Where are you geographically?
I'm in Stockport, South Manchester.
All right, so not a million miles away. My mum was born in Woodford near Stockport, I think. And you're joining us later this month to do a little bit of teaching and training about marketing. So just tell us a bit about yourself, Helen, and also what the sessions are all about.
Thanks, Tom, and thanks for inviting me on this morning. I'm glad I was able to hear a bit of everyone here, because I did a little bit of work in the early stages of that, and I know Sam Hunt very well, so it's brilliant to see how it's developing. So I'm a marketing communications and audience development consultant. Though I'm based in Stockport, I've worked all over the UK for over 30 years. And the training that I'll be doing on the 21st and 22nd, called The Essentials of Marketing, is for anyone who's either new to marketing or has had no formal training or found that marketing is just one of the many things they do in their work, or wants a bit of a refresher. And it's a full day. And I'll start in the morning looking at the what, the why, and the who. So what is it that you want to achieve? So thinking about your marketing aims and objectives and why you want to achieve that. So how does that fit with your purpose? And who is it for? So looking at who your current audiences are, who your potential audiences could be. And then in the afternoon, we'll be looking at how. So how do you put that into action? So thinking about the tactical marketing activity. So instead of starting with the first question, which I often get, is what social media platform should I be on? Actually, you've got to do the work before that to understand why you choose the channels that you do. There'll be lots of practical tips, case study examples, exercises to do individually and in small groups. And then obviously we're going to be looking at another how. So how do you know that it's worked? So a bit about evaluation, some very basic things that you can put in place. I'm very aware that budgets are ridiculously tight at the moment, and lunch is included. Nice point, Tom. And that we're often feeling like we have to do more for less, and marketing is quite often one of those things that gets squeezed or forgotten about or left to the last minute, and then we wonder why things don't go quite as well as we'd hoped. So hopefully this will put some very good pillars, marketing pillars in place for you to think about. There'll be lots of tools for you to think about and access and how you use those going forwards, and plenty of opportunities for discussion and questions and answers as well. I'm working on it at the moment, so if anyone is planning to come, has got any questions or things they want to see in it, now's a good opportunity to feed in. I'll be tweaking it. I've pretty much done the training module, but if anyone wants to feed in, there's still time to do that.
Do you think from the arts and culture sector, Helen, there's a like a different approach for marketing? You know, is it because you know, you could argue, I suppose, I'm being provocative here, that people of a creative persuasion are not natural marketeers even, perhaps. So will your course kind of cover that sort of stuff off?
Yeah, I think the thing is, it's the basic principles of marketing are the same in whatever industry. The difference is we're not for profit as opposed to commercial. But actually, because of the creativity of creative people, there's often untapped marketing skills that they have. They're often very good writers or very good at expressing themselves in different ways. And so content is so important in marketing. And so it's how to channel some of those skills and not be afraid of you know, the term marketing and the jargon that comes with that, and the constant change of marketing. I mean, the changes I've seen in my career, and still, so now everybody's panicked about AI. So actually, how might that help and save you time in some of the basic marketing activity that you might want to do? So also all sorts of things like that. So I think it's we're not, we like to think of ourselves as special, and you know, I've spent my whole career working in the sector, and I do think it is special, but the basic principles of marketing are the same.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions? Anyone else? While we've got Helen. Kate, is there a cost to this? Remind us for people if they want to come along to these sessions.
Yeah, there is. So if you work for an organisation and you're paid by an organisation, it's £30 for the day. If you are freelance, it's £20 for the day. If all of that is too much at this moment for you, it's important to get in touch with us on hello@cacn.co.uk, because you know we can support a limited number of bursaries for this kind of thing. And we don't want the cost to put you off. So please do email us in confidence at hello@cacn.co.uk, and we'll do what we can.
Great. Sounds really good, Helen. Be really
Thank you.
nice to, and it's a couple of sessions you're doing, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and just can you remind us of the locations? Do you know the locations?
Just remember, I think Kendal and Whitehaven.
Kendal and Whitehaven. Great. So we're getting across the county a little bit.
Yeah.
Just for everyone's benefit, we try and get across the county with all these sessions that we do, wherever we do physical face-to-face meetings or training. We just try and get around the county as much as we can. We may even get to Bewcastle one day to do a session or two, but in the meantime, we'll just talk up the festivals that take place in Bewcastle. So yeah, Whitehaven and Kendal are the locations. And as Kate has said, there's a cost, but if you need help with the cost, get in contact. You know, this network is absolutely about helping people, networking, collaborating, gaining confidence, gaining skills. That's what this is all about. And you're all part of it too. Yes, Kate.
Answer one question in chat from Christine. Do we not market these events directly to organisations and venues? Yes, we do. I've written, for example, to all of the organisations I can think of about this one, but we also do depend on people staying tuned to the network, because we put it out all the time in a number of different ways. So we do our best to do it directly, but actually we find that these courses fill up from people just kind of being part of the network, and many, many, many organisations are part of the network.
Thank you, Kate. Lovely stuff. Good luck, Helen. Hope it goes well.
Thanch you.
Enjoy your trip north. And
Thank you.
Hi.
Yeah, Donna.
I've signed up for the one in Kendal. Do we know which venue it is in Kendal?
We do. It's at the Quaker Tapestry Museum.
Oh, brilliant. I've got a children's tapestry that I created with the Quaker Tapestry hanging there.
Fantastic.
Very nice cafe as well, if I'm not mistaken.
A very nice cafe too. Yes. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. Great.
What a lovely venue. Great stuff. What a nice place to be inspired and to be learning about things. Lovely. Thank you for that question, Donna. As I said, Helen, have a good trip. Hope it goes well. And no doubt we'll reflect on it once all is done. And with some amazing marketing taking place across Cumbria as a result.
Thank you. Right. I hope to see some of you then.
Absolutely. Love to Stockport. Right.
Let's have a good weekend. Bye.
Let's now complete the call this morning, which has been a busy one on International Women's Day, March the 8th. And Ursula, who is known to lots of people on this call, we've got a film that Ursula made set in Maryport, but I'm going to invite Ursula just to introduce the film first of all, then we'll have a little watch, and then we'll probably take us towards the end of the call. So Ursula, over to you.
Yes, I did this one 3 years ago, and it's a semi-fictitious film, but not necessarily. I'm sort of suggesting that it was a remote walk organized by somebody in London, actually Ukrainian as well, but living in London. And so different women and groups were supposed to walk and impose themselves on statues in their city, town, whatever, to kind of make the supposed male statues female. And then I realized that me being in Maryport and the only statue like sort of element we have is the amazing obelisk at Fleming Square. And then it dawned on me that, oh, this could be a woman statue, in fact, because it's the square is named after Mary Fleming, and the obelisk is in the middle of the square. So it's not certain that it is her obelisk, but it's kind of semi-fictitious, but it would make sense that this is a woman's statue. Hence my
Okay.
question.
Thank you, Ursula. Let's watch the film. Amy's going to share the film. I hope it doesn't jolt too much. Just sit back. It's about 3 or 4 minutes and enjoy this.
The monument you can see here is probably a woman's statue. We're in Maryport, a small town on the Irish sea coast in West Cumbria. Scotland is not far from here, so this part of the sea is the Solway Firth as well. And this film will explain why this statue belongs to Mary Fleming, therefore should be considered a woman's statue, though it has no face and no name. So it's International Women's Day, and this plinth and obelisk is probably dedicated to Mary Fleming, which is the wife of the founder of the town, Humphrey Senhouse. And the square is called Fleming Square. And he named the town Maryport after her. But the dedication of this plinth and obelisk is not certain because all the sides are blank. There's a blank here, blank there. This side is blank. And this side is blank. So there's no inscription on the whole thing. So it's a really interesting thing. Is it a women's plinth or not? So this is something I've done today. So this is the unveiling, the imagined unveiling.
Fantastic stuff. I love the concept of an imaginary unveiling, Ursula.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks anyway. Yeah, I was doing a lot of sort of artwork with wool at the time, and then I thought, yeah, to kind of mark the occasion. Yeah, thanks.
Great. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing it with us. I thought it was lovely. I love the sounds you got of the seagulls as well. It felt very much like a Mary Port moment. And I know that square a little bit. It's that beautiful Georgian square, isn't it? In
It is
Maryport.
an amazing square because
Yeah.
it looks like, where is everybody? Because it
Yeah.
looks
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
this could be the center of town.
Yeah, and whenever we put a statue up or an obelisk or anything like that these days, a monument, you know, we're all over it as far as explaining what things are, and just to have it barren is quite interesting in itself. You know, whether things have moved or got lost that were there, or whether it was intended that way, I don't know. But thank you very much for sharing that with us, Ursula. Really interesting, different way of thinking about that, and just a small way of marking International Women's Day. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you,
everybody. Thanks ever so much, everyone, for joining us this morning. Next week, we are going to find out about the Words by the Water Book Festival, which is returning triumphantly to Theatre by the Lake in Keswick in June. So we're going to hear from Leah, who runs that and organises it, and also Victoria Barbe, used to work at the university in Carlisle, has set up the Apothecary of the Arts, and she's based in Brampton. We're going to find out what that's about as well, what she's trying to achieve. And where she's going with that as well. So that is the plan for next week. In the meantime, there's a bit of blue sky here. I hope everyone's okay. Gonna have a nice weekend. Good luck with the Cricket England. Don't need an update on the score, but good luck with the Cricket England. And we'll see you all again next time.